Are we rolling? A selection by Tricky Gomez himself called Funky Foot Fungus.
I came all the way here from the Detroit-Toledo area to make all kinds of noise.
Mm-hmm. Well played.
None of it music.
You know what? Music is in the eye of the beholder.
Well played.
Well played. See, we tied it all together.
Yeah, we did.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the Wildwood Lair, beautiful Louisville, Colorado, here with Ken Haas from Reverend Guitars. He's giving us the lowdown on the Reverend line, some specific models that are coming out in @16, and just kind of touching on some other guitars that have been out already that are glorious, that are maintaining their glory with the line of Reverend. And we're going to cut that, I'm sure. But doggone it, we've got a couple of guitars in our hands here. We've talked a little bit about this one, but you wanted to give it a little bit more loving in the oven, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
This is the Jetstream HB. H standing for hum, B standing for bucker. The reason why we called it that is because it has two Reverend humbuckers. We also make the Jetstream 390. The reason we call it that is because it has three P90 guitar pickups, yes. The Jetstream model has been a staple in the Reverend line for 12 years now.
That's a long time.
One of the originals, yes, one of the OGs, as it were. And I love the Jetstream. To me, if somebody were to ask me, as the boss man, what is a Reverend guitar?
Hey, Ken, what is a Reverend guitar?
This is the body shape that comes to my mind. This has been, you know, this sort of is reminiscent of Joe's original design.
That we saw earlier today.
It's just really comfortable. It balances great because of where the upper horn finishes. Arm contour, belly contour. And this is the sort of the shape that I see in my mind. Korina body, maple. Now, let's talk about the flame maple, all right? Without any BS, okay?
Bring it.
All right. A lot of the flame maple that you see on Reverend's guitars are veneers. What is a veneer? A veneer is a thin piece of wood. It's not a photograph. It's not some fake crap. It's a thin piece of flamed maple. The reason why this guitar has a veneer on it, believe it or not, is not because I'm cheap. That doesn't have anything to do with it. Actually, I'm not particularly cheap either.
You're a high-priced.
I'm going to have a prime rib sandwich for brunch.
Delicious.
I know. No, the Korina sounds good. You know, it's a really, really cool tone wood with this really throaty mid-range. As I mentioned in other videos, it has a lot of the same tonal properties as mahogany, but it's also somewhat kind of related to alder, and so you get a little snap and spank from it. And quite frankly, with using Korina for the body, we didn't need to add the brightness of a full maple cap.
Aha.
But the look is fabulous.
People like that flame maple?
I like it. I guess the fact that other people like it too is fine.
That's good for them.
Yeah.
But for use.
I love flame maple. And I just think this is a color that we call violent brown. And I think it looks fantastic.
Violent brown? That brings together some kind of abdominal discontent.
Violet.
That perhaps we don't want to talk about. Violin brown. Okay.
Violin brown.
Okay.
I like the fact that every one is its own beast. When you put a flame maple top on it, it all looks different.
That's right.
And some of it's crazy stripy. Some of it, you give up some of the crazy stripiness for a more 3D thing that you see on an angle. To me, it all looks good.
Kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get with that particular piece of maple.
And we've been getting some good stuff lately. You know, I think this is gorgeous. This is a really nice 3D with a really nice sort of cross grain in it. Like all Reverend guitars, master volume, master tone, bass contour control.
Bass contour control.
I'm at Reverend. We're not really so much interested. We don't offer coil taps on models. I feel like with the bass contour, you can get some similar vibe that you get from coil taps while still retaining our pickup's full character. And even as you back it off,
it's glassy and delicious with it down, and when you want a little more sinew, you turn it up, and you're slapping cheeks and leaving a mark.
All that. And both coils are still on, so here comes the overdrive. No hum, because it's a humbucker. Fatten that up a little bit.
Sounds super good.
There's so much room to play around in between, and even for somebody like me sitting down with an amp that I'm not familiar with and a pedal that I'm not familiar with, but you know, I want to sound like me, right? Tone is in the fingers and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And I mean, no matter what gear you're sitting down into, you're still going to put your own personal reflection on playing. You know, whether you're, you know, it doesn't. All the greats, right? They say I'm certainly not, you know,
Clancy McCorkindale
or whatever, you know, but you like the great players, your Mark Knopflers and your Eric Claptons and your Jimi Hendrixes and your David Gilmours, and you know, a lot of these, they play a note, you know who that is.
You go, hey, there's Randy Pound Savage.
Yeah, man, I love Randy Pound Savage. So we brought the flame maple back into the line for the Jetstream HB. One of my endorser guys and good friend of ours and Gil Paris's is Mr. Bernie Williams, who plays this guitar a lot. And Bernie gets, I mean, just a wide spectrum of sounds from this thing. He plays a lot of jazz and you know, a lot of like bluesy rock, and it just, you know, awesome. Just an absolute awesome, every bit as good of a guitar player as he was a baseball player. Just phenomenal. And if you don't know that, look it up and check it out, man, because Bernie is kick-ass. So, he's been playing this guitar in this color that he got 5 or 6 years ago, and he's still playing it all the time, so I wanted to offer this guitar in this color in 2016 in honor of the man Bernie Williams.
I like it.
This guitar that you're holding is a Coffee Burst Tricky Gomez 290, and Tricky Gomez saw that I was doing the Gil Paris model in Coffee Burst, and Tricky was like, well, he was pissed. He was jealous.
He's a very sensitive man.
He really is. And the Coffee Burst has been a huge color for Reverend for like the last 2 or 3 years. It's just this really cool dark burst. Get some of that yellow out of there, you know? It's sexy. To me, I look at that and it screams Detroit, Toledo area.
And coffee.
And coffee.
In the Detroit, Toledo area.
Indeed. All Tricky Gomez guitars feature our cool soft touch Bigsby spring in the Bigsby B70 model, master volume, master tone. Again, bass contour control. Let's take these thick mid-rangey P90s and make them the most versatile P90s out there by being able to adjust where that mid-frequency hits with the bass contour control.
Right on.
Rosewood board, inline 6 tilt back headstock on the Tricky. And dig the burst on the back of the neck.
Dig it.
I dig it. More importantly, Tricky digs it.
That's important because he's a very sensitive soul.
He started out as more of a old bluesman type personality guy that you would, maybe if you were lucky, catch at a street corner bar.
Yes.
You know, but none of the gigs were ever announced. You know?
Yes.
Always like pop-up stuff. The kind of guy that if you book him, you know he ain't going to show up.
Because he's tricky. That's why the name Tricky came to the fore.
That's why we started calling him Tricky. So then later, we just quit billing it, you know? But we'd know.
Yes. There'd be a disturbance in the force.
Right.
Tricky's afoot tonight.
Right.
He's going to show up at...
So Mr. Gomez is still living next door to Mr. Green, Zach Green, the gentleman who sets up all of our guitars. When he's not on tour, which is not very often, you know, a couple weeks a year, there he is. We're currently in the process of moving Reverend Guitars into a beautiful new facility in Toledo, Ohio, about 45 minutes south of Detroit.
On Klinger Street.
And Zach, of course, Zach Guitar Reverend Setup Extraordinaire, ZSG, like it says right here, is coming with us to the Toledo area, of course. Wanted to be a little closer to the shop. Can't blame him there. And from what I understand, Tricky Gomez is doing the same thing.
He's tricky.
He is.
He's a crazy... he's kind of a vagabond.
He is.
I like his tour T-shirt. Since he never announces where he's going to play, it just says Tour Odd 15, and then it's just a big question mark.
Right, right.
And then the dates.
Right, right.
We know he's going to be somewhere, but we can't really say where. But the people that are going to be there are going to be satisfied with his renderings. And we know the tones will be good.
Yeah.
Because he'll be sporting his signature instrument.
And he's gotten really big. I think he's got like a #1 record in Malaysia this year. Like very interesting markets. People have really cottoned on to what the guy is doing. But I mean, very typically with our culture here in the U.S., we just can't seem to get him to catch on here. But at Reverend, we want to support the guy as best we can.
You embrace the visionary.
We have, absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. This guitar sounds great. This is a maple top on a chambered Korina body, and with the Reverend 3-piece Korina neck. And so this has that snappy bite to it that you get from the maple, right?
Yeah.
You know, setting it aside from some of our spruce topped semi-hollows, you know, making it a little bit more friendly for hipster doofus fuzz rock.
Hipster doofus fuzz rock.
I'd love to hear some hipster doofus fuzz rock.
Maybe we should compose a song together right now.
Oh, shoot. All right.
Hang on, let me get some, what have I got going on here? Somehow, I'm not hearing I gotta turn the volume up. That's a new feature on these guitars. Hipster doofus fuzz muted. I buy used clothes that don't fit. I'm a hipster doofus fuzz muted. You may think I'm just a mindless twit. Ow! I couldn't remember it was hipster doofus fuzz mutant is what I ended up calling it.
Okay.
I didn't do doofus. But you know what? That's what extemporaneous composition's all about. Just kind of on the spot thinking, hey, are we going doofus or are we going mutant? And that's happened here. In the Wildwood Lair, I'm here with Ken Haas here from Reverend Guitars. And we're just kind of creating artistry as we see fit.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
I'll
I'll see you cats later.
Yep.